I loved playing Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. I loved watching Stalker, the Andrei Tarkovsky movie. And I loved reading Roadside Picnic, the Strugatsky brothers novel that all these others are based on. And now I'm ready to look critically at Stalker the board game. So what is this Stalker the board game thing? Is it a board game adaptation of early 1970s Russian philosophical science fiction literature? Yeah, nah. Only in the most basic sense. Just like in a book, you're a stalker who ventures into a forbidden zone and navigates dangerous and unexplained phenomena to extract artifacts that you can sell. But instead of artistically dealing with the philosophical wonder, the deep desperation and the mysterious pull of the zone, they just added a heavy dose of zombicide and called it a day. Now you play a group of heavily armed stalkers with screws and Geiger counters in their pockets, fighting hyper-aggressive mutants and collecting treasure. Yeah, maybe it's a bit unfair of me. Let's put it like this. The board game stays very true to the spirit of the computer games. And that is fine. After all, it's STALKER the board game, not Stalker the board game, not Roadside Picnic the board game. Even though I would love to see someone attempt that. The game was developed by Awaken Realms and crowdfunded on their own crowdfunding platform GameFound. But more about that later. Now, the game. At heart, this is a campaign game. And campaigns are all the rage. So let's talk about the campaign. Just like in Gloomhaven, you have a map and put on stickers as new missions and locations are revealed. Just like in Sleeping Gods, you have a storybook where you read a blurb about what happens when you visit a certain location. Much like in ISS Vanguard, you have a binder where you store cards for people you meet and other things. Before each mission, you can visit one non-mission location and talk to 3 people. Some let you buy and sell stuff, some give you side missions, some come along to help, like little Doggo here. Yes, he is one of my business contacts. Once you've done all of this, you set up for the next mission, choose which of your gear to bring, open the mission box and set up the board and all the many other things. And then, what feels like an hour or so later, you play the mission. The game works with 1 to 4 players, but I chose to go it alone. The zone is a lonely place, and I'm a lonely loner who's just fine loneling it up in the vast forsaken zone, alone, all by my lone self. But also because this game has the same problem that oh so very many other cooperative games have. It's not more interesting with more players, it just takes longer. You figure out the tactic for the next round and then everyone executes it. Do you really need 4 people to decide if you enter a building from the front or from the back? 2 players is fine, but beyond that, every additional player is just baggage. If you play solo, you get these overlays and you just get to do 1 more action per turn. I haven't decided yet if I think this solution is really smart or just lazy. Mission. The game itself is all about sound and positioning. You make noise when you move and you make quite a racket when you shoot. But you can also create distractions and lure enemies away from you and silently sneak around and hit them in the back. It's not unlike the Walking Dead all-out war. All this works via attention tokens. Every player has one in their color, double-sided, one side yellow, one side red. If you use your actions of 1 round to run, then shoot, then sneak, then run again, you put the yellow side to where your run ended. Then turn it to the red side and put it where you shot your gun. Then leave it there because sneaking is silent and thus does nothing to your token. And then when you run 1 more time, your token still stays where it is because red takes precedent over yellow. When it's the enemy's turn to move, their behavior is based on the most urgent attention token on the board. If there's a red token on the board, they know something is up and will try and hunt you down. And if they manage to reach your attention token and you're not there, the cards will often cause the attention token to move towards you. This essentially symbolizes them tracking you. It's all good fun. Each stalker gets 2 turns each round, and each turn consists of multiple actions. You track this on your player board. You pick an action and slide down your turn token as you perform it. At the end of each of your turns, every enemy that can see you will attack. So you've got to be smart about where you end each of your 2 turns. Combat. Let's look at how combat works. It involves some bureaucracy. When you attack, You look at your Stalker card as well as your weapon and attachments. You end up with a certain amount of different dice you get to roll. Some of it also depends on your distance to the target and how much ammo you use. For example, my GP37 is best at range 2 to 4. If I roll a special 2 stars at this distance, it actually counts as 4 stars. So if I attack this guy from range 2, I'm just within my optimal range. My Stalker gives me 2 yellow dice for shooting, plus 1 extra one if no other Stalkers are nearby. So as you can see, this one's a good choice of a Stalker for playing solo. Then, my weapon gives me 3 red dice for a burst shot, and I have to pick a body part that I'm aiming at. Let's have a look at the enemy card to see what our options are. Let's aim for the head. Now, I just need to fill out Form 87B and get it stamped by the Department of Conservation, and then I'm finally legally in position to take a shot. Oh, and I get 1 more die from the red dot sight attachment for being within range 2. So I get to roll a total of 7 dice, 3 yellow and 4 red. I need to hit 10 stars for the shot to hit. That should be doable, right? Close, but not quite. Well, I've got an ace up my proverbial sleeve. A focus token that I can spend to re-roll all the dice I don't like. Let's do that. There we go. Dead. Unlike most normal enemies, this one had more than 1 health and it took a while to take him out, but we finally got there. But all this shooting made a lot of noise, so the remaining enemies will be all over me at the end of the round. Better use my remaining actions to either create a distraction or bugger off out of here. Anomalies. Another big part of the Stalker universe are anomalies, and they play a big role in this game too. You can get powerful artifacts from them, but they can also kill you so easily if you're not careful. There's a special die for anomalies, full of symbols that coincide with the symbols on these transparent overlays. The dots in the symbols tell you how high the chance is that you will roll that symbol. 4 dots, you've got a 4 in 10 chance of rolling it. If you move over spaces with these symbols, you have to roll the damn die at the end of your move. And every exposed symbol you travel over will trigger the effect of the anomaly if rolled. Move over a field with all 4 symbols exposed and you've got a 100% chance of being hosed. But you probably noticed that I said exposed here. The good news is that there's ways to cover up symbols. You can throw bolts to cover up a single symbol with a bolt token. But the anomalies are fickle things and so these tokens go away again at the end of the round. Better be quick. Why go through all this trouble? Some of the anomalies produce artifacts, a token that gets placed under the anomaly's standee. If you have a special detector attachment for your suit, you can find out where exactly the artifact is located. You roll the anomaly die and place the token on the rolled symbol and can go pick it up. With great care, that is. Just waltzing through the anomaly will usually tear you to shreds. But if you make it, you draw a random artifact card for the matching category of anomaly, and those are usually very nice, or at least sell for a very good price. Worth the trouble. End of mission. So you sneak and run and shoot and fight, you loot stashes and collect artifacts, and you fulfill whatever task you have to fulfill for the mission. Rescue someone, find an item. At the beginning of each new round, you flip over a card of the mission's story deck. Much like in Arkham Horror the card game or Lord of the Rings the card game. Sometimes the card says that new enemies arrive. Sometimes it says to add new random cards to the stack, essentially buying you more time. Sometimes heavily contaminated rain starts to fall and you need to make it to a sheltered spot or suffer radiation damage. But unlike in the aforementioned games, you do not want to get to the end of the mission deck. Here you want to do whatever you have to do and then get the hell out before the deck runs out, because bad stuff starts happening towards the end, and failure or death await on the final card. But if you complete the mission and make it out in time, then you get the rewards, you get new locations to add to your map, new people to talk to, and you go back to your campaign binder to plan your next mission. Conclusion. So, is all of this any good? Yes, it is. It's a great time. It's fun to come up with sneaky plans and see them thwarted. I've encountered some excellent twists, I've fought some scary monsters, and I liked all of it a lot. Nothing in this game is revolutionary, but it's a solid combination of mechanics that we've all seen before in other games. My only complaint is that there are a lot of moving pieces in play, and I keep coming back to this one thought. What's the limit? At what point does it become too tedious? At what point would it just make more sense to do a computer game instead of a board game? I know people like buying huge board games. These days every crowdfunding project promises even more components, even more extra content, even more optional miniatures and tokens and dice and whatnot. And that's great. I love good miniatures and high quality components, but I'm wondering how many of the people who buy these games then actually get to play them, because the big downside of all of this is that these games become a bit tedious to get to the table. You can't just do a quick game in an hour, you need to rearrange your entire life around it. So who are the people playing these games? Who's got the time? What are they running from? I mean, this game is easier to get to the table than Frosthaven or Kingdom Death Monster, but nevertheless, once I spend an hour setting up all the many different elements, I gotta set up my inventory, my weapons, my ammo, my radiation meter, my artifacts. I gotta prepare many different decks of cards for all sorts of things, assemble the game board from multiple pieces, set up cards on top of it and place enemies and items and tokens. After all this, I start asking myself, why do I have to do all of this just to get started? Is there no easier way? Yes, there is. Just make it digital. Why have all this on the table? Why have all these many things as physical components? If this was a computer game or a mixed reality game, it would all be set up in an instant. I wouldn't have to track all this manually and could instead focus on the actual gameplay challenge at hand. The core gameplay is mostly moving around and rolling dice to shoot. It actually reminds me of Door Kickers or Jagged Alliance. So where's the limit? How much can we take? How much of your time spent with a game can be administrative work before you're tempted to throw the towel and go do something else? Why play such complex games? Are we trying to prove to ourselves that we're smart? Look at me, to play this I have to remember 44 pages of rules and keep track of 15 stats. Do you dive this deep into a game to avoid reality? Do you buy long campaign games out of a yearning for long-lasting friendships formed over many nice evenings? Well, not me, I play this solo. Though I did have a friend once, and I have to admit it was nice. So that's my only complaint. Just kidding. You didn't really think I had only one complaint, right? So, the rulebook is not great. It's all over the place and leaves open questions. I had to flip through it so many times and often the answer just wasn't even in there. The section that's supposed to be a quick reference is missing so many things. This would have needed more time. Then, I'm no fan of games based on existing IPs. The constraints that come with trying to stick to a specific IP just don't lend themselves to coming up with truly great new ideas. And that's how you end up with a game that's mostly just full of ideas you've seen before. But what you have to realize is that the people at Awaken Realms aren't interested in being artists who push the limits and redefine the world of board games. No, what they are is smart business people and skilled craftsmen who combine established game mechanics that are proven to work well, and then sometimes they sprinkle a fresh idea or two on top. And that's fine. This is a surprisingly solid game that feels like Stalker and also works well as a game. But have no illusions, if you're not into the Stalker universe, there is no reason for you to play this game over something else. Bottom line, this would be so much quicker and easier to play as a computer game. But complicated games with far too many components and miniatures are the niche that Awaken Realms has cut out for itself. They've perfected the board game crowdfunding upsell formula and cut out the middleman by starting their own crowdfunding platform GameFound. And as far as we all can tell, they're doing pretty f***ing great riding that wave. And hey, it seems to be working on me. I'm a big child, I love having lots of little boxes and piles of tokens and stacks of cards and miniatures to paint. There's something truly great about telling a story with a gazillion little cardboard pieces all under your control. It's like you're a magician, no, a god, controlling a miniature world, guiding your Herculean hero through a dangerous quest, occasionally shifting the odds a bit and cheating with a dice roll. Who will ever know? And along the way, it all somehow becomes bigger than the sum of its parts. As long as you have this, there's really no reason to go outside. As long as you have this, there's no reason whatsoever to face any of your real-world problems. Surely the dishes can wait. Surely the talk with your estranged parents is not that urgent. And you hated that job anyway. Thanks for watching.